And welcome everybody. This is a SHR special news report. It seems that, well, not seems, there's been a second attempt on Trump's life. News reports are still sketchy. Trying to gather everything we can. They do have a suspect in custody. It is, I believe, a 60-year-old male, Ryan Routh. I know he has a third name. I can't remember the third name. I'm looking it up right now. Everything's just flying so fast.
Ryan Wesley Routh.
That's it. Yeah,
not totally dissimilar from the pedophile I interviewed before he was executed, Wesley Allen Dodd. Isn't it strange how all the serial killers have three names?
All the assassins, anybody like that, they always have three names. I just don't understand it. This is coming out of, we're going to be showing you stuff that is on Twitter. I'll preface it. Information changes. We're not guaranteeing 100% accurate everything. This is what's coming across Twitter and news feeds. And one of them is a picture of the guy.
Oh, they have photographs already.
Well, this is the bags that he had. Somehow jumped photos. That's supposedly the shooter.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a 60-year-old male. And I wonder what political.
Obviously a conservative.
Yes, obviously.
Or a libertarian.
It's just, of course, you got the Democrats out there running their mouths. Oh, we don't want no violence. We don't, the lies and the rhetoric that they have been spreading does not help with these types of situations. This is the second time. And then they tried covering it up. The mainstream media did with the initial reports. They tried, once the initial reports went out, then they're like, oh, well, it was just two people happened to have a gunfight outside of Trump's golf course. And then it comes out, no, Secret Service opened fired on a guy with an AK-47. They try everything to cover up, and it's annoying.
See, you're going to be ahead of me on this. I was out doing some shopping, and only when I was just about turning into the driveway did I get a text from my wife saying that apparently attempted assassination number 2 had just occurred. So you and I were wrestling back and forth trying to figure out who's going to beat the other one to have the show and the information on it. So likely you know a lot more about this than I do, because I was just barely able to pack away all my groceries and come in onto the show. But I knew, if we're going to be SHR,
we got to come out with this.
We have to come out and we have to be responsive in some kind of a timely fashion.
Yeah.
I completely concur with your having said, let's do this.
Well, I think Shaun maybe later on. I know he was out and about with family, so he didn't know much what was going on. It's been changing pretty rapidly. I'd been watching it, and then it started talking about it was only between 2 people on the street. So I was like, all right, maybe this isn't worth getting on. But then more reports are coming out that, yeah, of course, this is exactly what it is. A second person has tried to, I know we'll get deemed for it, but I don't really care anymore. They try to kill a presidential candidate. Plain and simple.
Well, To me, this is indicative of the fact of just what a threat this guy is. And I've gotten to the point where the FBI, the alphabet agencies, ATF, DOJ, I really don't trust any of these people anymore. They have gone out of their way in an excessive fashion to make sure that I don't trust or believe in them. In any event, you know, we had Trump, an attempted assassin.
Let me jump in there real quick because I want everybody to understand.
Sure.
Not a hating, because we don't like law enforcement. You were FBI at one point.
I was with the FBI. I was with the U.S. Marshal. I spent my last 36 years. I went to a coastal sheriff's department in California, and then I spent my last 36 years at Sacramento County Sheriff's Department. So all told, I've spent 41 to 42 years in law enforcement. I'm the biggest supporter. Give me every reason to support law enforcement until I can't, until I don't believe your lying asses.
I've worked with one of my EMS jobs for a township. My boss was lieutenant of police. I answered directly to the lieutenant of police. I had to go through background checks, everything the same as if I was being hired as a officer. I've worked hand in hand with law enforcement almost my whole adult life. I have no problem with authority. I have no problem with law enforcement, but I will call them out when they fuck up. And they screwed up the last assassination. And now you have calls, sorry about that DeSantis should take over investigation of this. There's still not a lot whether he got a shot off or not. Some of the reports I've read, he was sticking his muzzle through a chain link fence. And this is how stupid, and I know it's a liberal, 300 to 500 yards away with an AK-47. Yes, the shots can be made, but there's better guns out there for that type of long-range shot. But Secret Service saw it, open fired, guy ran. They had drones in the air, saw the car immediately, surrounded it, got him arrested.
See, we'll find out a lot more about this, obviously, as it goes. I mean, even to us, it's very fresh. So I'm sure the yardage will change. Some of the fact patterns will change. Expect that it will go in an almost precise fashion as it went before. So if we all recall, President Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, he had his first assassination attempt on Saturday, July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, at an outdoor venue. The FBI at one point, Ray, got before a committee, a hearing, and said, well, I'm not sure if it was a bullet or if it was just fragments that happened to hit. When you start parsing like that, I really don't want to have much of anything to do with you. But I think the biggest takeaway between July 13th and today, which is September 15th, is the U.S. Secret Service, and I have not worked much around them. My assignments included something almost always other than that. So I really don't know that much about having worked directly with the Secret Service, but I know generally how they work, and I know agents, and I know how they were basically back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And after that, I really didn't have any association with them at all. But you have to, so many people don't understand the disassociation, and that apparently nothing has changed.
Nope.
Dan Bongino.
Now they're saying they tackled him quick and had him on the ground, and they have a special golf cart for him that's armored piercing golf cart, and they got him on that and removed him.
That's
and all the reports I'm hearing, and I know I'm jumping around, and I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. This is all flexible.
as soon as they got him into a secure building, he noticed his golf partner wasn't there, and he was more worried about people that were with him and were not in the building, and he was more worried that something happened to one of them than anything else. That's what was his main concern, and has come out. Sean Hannity has already spoken, but I want to pop up a tweet for this. I don't know. She's a co-host of a show, and her family, she's got relations into the Democrat Party. But this is the tweet that she puts out right after it was announced there was a possible shooting.
Oh, I'm sure all of this is going to get really stupid. Oh, beautiful.
That's what they immediately thought would be smart. And it just... Are you able to read it easy, or do I need to make it bigger?
Yeah, Rachel Vindman. No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. Comma, you disgusting bint.
It's
to write something like that.
And then you have the Crass brothers. I don't know if you had the unfortunate pleasure of coming across these idiots.
No,
they're friggin' paid. There's a lot of questions about their background. There's been some proof shown about who these brothers really are, but this is what they decide would be smart to put out.
Claiming,
because I think
it was never in any danger.
New York Times put out there it was just two people shooting at each other, and then it came out, and now if this tweet's true, I couldn't find it anymore. He probably deleted it, and he should, because that's just stupidity, putting something out there like that.
Well, do you have that tweet? Can you put it back up again?
Yes.
About Rachel Vindman.
Oh, Rachel Vindman?
Yeah.
1 second.
So I'd like to point something out.
In the background, I apologize. My little puppy's playing.
That's
He's back there yipping away.
I want to make sure that I'm about to tell you about the same person, and I believe this is it. Yeah, she's spelling her name the same way. Okay, folks, do you know who Rachel Vindman is? Does that last name sound familiar? Anybody remember Alexander Vindman? Anybody remember retired Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, a key witness in President Donald Trump's impeachment inquiry, who was slammed by President Trump? So she's the wife of Alexander Vindman, the guy who came out and attempted to solicitously libel Donald Trump. So it's no shock that she's kicking out tweets like this already. Her husband is a piece of trash, and this is pretty clear that she's a piece of trash as well. Of course, as per normal, these are my opinions. This isn't my show, but I'm telling you that these are my opinions, and I get to say them, and I get to have them. So I find it not shocking that Rachel Vindman turns out to be the wife of somebody who was already a Trump hater, who already despised Trump. Not shocking as far as I'm concerned. I'm looking at Fox News. It says the suspect in the second assassination attempt. Now, Fox News, this is interesting because Fox News also has Brett Baier and Neil Cavuto and any number of people that are not really even particularly moderates, and they're certainly not right-wing.
Oh, no, not with Paul Ryan.
No,
the board
and
now.
all the others on Fox, but Fox has already come out, and they're quantifying it as that is a second assassination attempt. Law enforcement sources confirmed to Fox News. He was armed with an assault rifle outside Trump International Golf Club when Trump was playing the fifth hole on Sunday afternoon. He put the muzzle of the gun through the chain link fence outside the golf club. And at this point, we may find different. He was 300 to 500 yards away from Trump. Secret Service spotted Routh Let's see. And I have not done a dive on him to find out if he's had any, I don't know, social media or anything like that. He may or may not. At the age of 60, there's every possibility that this Ryan Wesley Routh guy doesn't have much social media. And again, it's way too early to determine.
And then the age could be off too. I mean,
Certainly, he looks like he's an older guy, really thin. Okay, that's fine. Of course, he's a white guy because he's obviously a white supremacist in sympathy with Donald John Trump, who likewise, by all accounts, and leftists and Democrats, is himself a white supremacist. Here's one thing that I find of interest and note and altogether disgusting at the same time. From July 13th to today, September 15th, the Secret Service has learned nothing. Some revelations have come out. But in terms of actually providing adequate protection to Donald John Trump, they still have not learned their lesson, nor has anyone, whoever Roe, if Roe is still the acting director, I don't even know that, to be honest. He may still be acting director, having not run anyone through Congress yet to be named. In any event, what have they learned? They've learned nothing. All they do, the Secret Service, have done is assign protection due to title. And what I mean by that is President of the United States, Vice President of the United States, etc., on down. They provide the amount of protection due to title, not threat. I'll wager any amount of money, $1,000, $10,000, that the greatest threats, true threats, especially after the first assassination attempt on July 13th, the biggest recipient of threats, who should be the largest recipient of protection, is Donald John Trump.
Yep.
But still,
And
the Secret Service is delegating protection according to the title of the protectee and not the threat level. And that's just disgusting.
now some more information. Now, I'm going to preface this a lot that, again, it's changing, but some of the reports of who this guy is, let me pull up the tweets. These are from Leading Report. And there's some reason to this. In DC and Kiev to provide soldiers for the war effort. That's who this guy was supposed. This is supposedly the shooter. Now, a lot of people want to know who he saw in Washington, D.C. Then
that's oh wait, now okay, so somebody has now decided that they're going to mine Twitter. See, that's the other thing. When you have something that occurs like this, one of the first occurrences is the people at social media go back and attempt to remove evidence.
Yep.
And there's a piece. So I would suggest to you, just like that Twitter that Donald John Trump said on January 6th regarding proceed peacefully to the Capitol, you better save a copy of that, because oddly enough,
they disappear.
But a lot of that stuff magically disappears.
And it's on Leading Report, but it says, at Real Donald Trump. And this was on 6/11/2020. While you were my choice in 2016, I and the world hoped that President Trump would be different and better than the candidate. But we are all greatly disappointed, and it seems you are getting worse and devolving. Are you retarded? I will be glad when you gone.
Okay, would you do me a kind favor and send that to me? Because I also want to immure that on my personal computer so that crap like that doesn't just magically disappear. So if you happen to be mining, by the way, myself, Jersey Joe, or anyone else who's doing some backgrounding on this, when you unearth little treasures like this, keep it.
Give
Keep
a
it.
perfect example. And I've talked to several people that have seen this report back in, this is going back 2004, somewhere around there. And it was Senator Barack Hussein Obama with his wife walking out of a church, and the reporter asked him, "Why did you convert from Muslim to Christianity?" And he gave it, a little bit winded, but one of the key points he told, you can never be voted in as president unless you're Christian. I have found that once or twice, and I never saved it. And now I cannot find it at all.
No, of course, the purpose is to bury things like that.
Yep.
And what you've discovered here today, bury them deep. And the reason I don't trust law enforcement anymore is look at what San Bernardino did with the 2 Muslim terrorists. They buried information about them. And they wanted to get to the phones. Apple wouldn't let them get the information on the phones. Anybody remember about the Tennessee transgender shooter? The only reason that you knew anything about the manifesto was that the Tennessee Star, after almost, 9 months, almost a year, only now, within the past week or two, did they release the manifesto of the tranny shooter. And it's packed with violence. Well, you're not supposed to think of transsexuals in that fashion. That's the reason for slamming the lid on top of that. Because the fear is, if we tell the truth, then, there will be others and there will be copycats. Therefore, the justification is we can never tell the truth again about any protected class or protected species under the guise of, well, we're just protecting them, and the First Amendment can go to hell.
No, but yet with school shootings, they plaster that all over the media for it to be copied. I don't know. I don't understand. They'll try protecting this stuff, but when it comes to school shooters and stuff like that, they'll put that information all out there.
Here's an early story, 2:44 p.m., which means that was about 12:44 or 11:44 for me. So yeah, I was still busy doing that kind of stuff. Trump safe after gunshots in his vicinity. So they first were released as gunshots in his vicinity. The campaign says. But then still with this first story, investigation treating suspect as potential assassin after Secret Service fired at man carrying AK-47 outside Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. Now, see, I believe there's a lot more information to come.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The other point of that is that if was the response from, it's so sad, I even have to think about this. We just recently discovered within the past week, I think it was Josh Hawley, whistleblowers came to Josh Hawley and said essentially that, now I don't know if everybody knows this, maybe this is getting a little bit too into the weeds. The U.S. Secret Service used to be under Treasury, the Treasury Department, because one of the first assignments of the Secret Service was counterfeiting, fraud, bad bills, that kind of thing. Well, the U.S. Secret Service is no longer under the Treasury. Now it's under DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. And what whistleblowers recently told Josh Hawley was that the individual who was in charge of site preparation for the July 13th Butler, Pennsylvania rally hadn't passed any number of tests. She was in charge of that, and she did a very poor job of it. When the other individual, who was the former Secret Service director, whose name, because I can't remember it, doesn't really deserve mentioning in any event, was all about DEI. In other words, I must get at least 30% women in here. And apparently, she didn't really care much about backgrounding. We went through this kind of crap in law enforcement in the 90s, and we got Rampart out of it in LA. An absolutely abrogation of law enforcement. And it's cyclical. It rears its ugly head, and it's back again. But the whistleblowers were saying that, by the way, these were DHS assignees. These were primarily not U.S. Secret Service agents who were tasked with Butler. These were people from DHS. And another whistleblower, perhaps the same one, said that prior to being assigned there, the DHS agents' training consisted of 2 hours in a classroom watching various PowerPoints and videos. And that's sufficient training, apparently, according to the needs of the U.S. Secret Service / DHS, to provide adequate protection for the number one threat recipient of the United States. Assassination number 2. Number 3, do we hear one in the offing coming between now and November? Because as far as Democrats and leftists and globalists are concerned, they're rubbing their hands saying, we can't wait, as evidenced by the tweets that you've already put on here on this show, Jersey Joe.
Yes. I'm sorry. I was checking to ask the question again.
No, I was just saying that.
I do apologize. I'm looking at other things, and
that's
Shaun
okay.
was
If you find any updated articles and stuff, by God, Mister, it's your show. You take it and run.
This is SHR. One thing I want to do is Shackhead Shaun. He is not able to be with us, but he is updating the website with information as he comes across it. The show is now broadcasting live on shrmedia.com. If you click on live stream at the bottom, you'll see the feed for Twitter. Soon that will change. You'll see, if you go there, you'll see where it says offline. Soon that will be, every time a show goes live, it will come up there. But if you want to watch, you can go to shrmedia.com.
Perfect. You see, stuff like
he's
this.
Updating, and I do apologize. I wasn't trying to ignore you.
That's okay.
And just jumping around. Go ahead.
That's the cool thing about SHR. Other than the fact that my lighting is crap, and I need some more lighting or different lighting somehow. In any event, SHR wants to be more to you than just the occasional show, and we're expanding, and we're becoming, and we're whipping up our professionalism now. Maybe there could be some F and S words coming.
Never.
But that's because that speaks to the passion within each one of us here. We're trying to be much more professional. We're trying to serve a lot more people, and we're trying to cover a lot more social media and video venues. We're getting there.
One thing I did notice, it's maybe has nothing to do, and probably has nothing to do, but I find it funny. Kamala got a shitload of bad news today.
She's really? How so?
Well,
I have been out of the news window today so far.
That affidavit that person from ABC said they were going to sign, well, that's been released. Not only is it a signed affidavit,
really,
all this was done on September 9th, before the debate.
That's 2 days before.
And a certified letter to Speaker of the House, Michael Johnson, also on September the 9th. Now, he sent himself all this information, certified mail, to himself to prove. He has proof this was all done before the debate ever happened, and the information that was withheld during the debate. Because if ABC did not agree, the campaign threatened to back out. Talk about Biden's health and what she knew. They were not allowed to talk. not allowed to talk about her time as Attorney General in California, and talk about the fact that her brother-in-law is being investigated for embezzling billions of dollars from the federal government, and that he will be assigned a role if Harris is elected in her administration. That was all in that letter.
I would love to see a letter. I haven't been able to locate a story about that. But
that got married real quick as soon as the shooting happened.
Oh,
it's
sure.
out there.
If true, then that's going to explode. Well, see, you can't tell me that, at least for this, does any of this, Jersey Joe, Sean, anyone that happens to be watching this live right now or later in podcast, I have to ask you, does any of this stuff regarding Trump, particularly two assassination attempts now, does any of this pass the smell test?
No.
Can you tell me any average 20-year-old that doesn't have a veritable assload of social media all over the internet? The first attempted assassination, the guy that got smoked, whose name again I can't remember because
I don't want to give his name.
I don't particularly want to give his name out, but he was smoked at the scene. Yay, snipers. But who is 20 years old and does not have social media? And the other thing that people say, look over here, don't look over there, don't pay attention to things that are packed with what, I'm going to create a new word, obviosity. Why does a kid have 3 foreign accounts in his 20s?
With high encryption.
Never answered. All we heard was the FBI and the DOJ say, don't worry your pretty little head about that. That doesn't mean a thing. Because that's customary, isn't it, for every 20-year-old in the United States of America to not have any social media, not have any kind of an internet footprint, and also simultaneously to have 3 foreign accounts that are encrypted, as you indicated. That's come on. Nothing to see here. That's common. And then the whistleblowers start stepping up and they start speaking to Josh Hawley. And in the interim, however many days that is, like I say, between July 13th and September 15th, today, July 13th was a Saturday. Today is a Sunday. In that amount of time.
Hold on.
Oh, what do we got? Shackhead Shaun.
Be able to get on.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be able to either.
I just sent it just like I said, just in case you were able to. I don't want you to think I was, pushing, but it was just in case.
No, and I totally get it. I appreciate it. Like I said, this is going to be a quick one, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's something I heard happens often.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to jump in also. The female moderator from the debate has admitted that she would not fact check Harris, that she was only going to fact check Trump. She's come out and admitted it.
Well, you're likely not going to see any of that stuff. True or not, I predicate a lot of things. If true, then ... Okay,
but that's a little bit better.
A lot of that stuff gets buried. Nice closet. I like that. Good window.
Yeah.
And I have always adored that hat.
Are you trying to say
it is
out of the closet?
It is a good hat. So I don't know what you guys have covered. I haven't been listening. I've been doing a million other things. I did want to jump in while I could. Shrmedia.com. I've had the story up, pulling from everywhere I can get. There was a picture released from it posted on the Tampa Bay Free Press, and then the Tampa Bay Free Press site won't let you into it now, but I was able to snag the screenshot. Shows a picture of the Ryan Ruth that everybody is talking about from X, who I'm sure you covered a lot of strange connections with this man.
With Kiev and his dislike for Trump now, I think, is the only thing we covered.
Well, and he started off as a Trump supporter, and now there's a strict disdain. If you go, there's a couple of links there to X posts that had them. The simple fact of the matter is, he was a Trump supporter, and at some point, he became, I don't know what you want to say, disillusioned with them, however you want to put it.
Can you put that up again, Joe? Show Sean.
Keep going, John.
And on the day after the first assassination attempt, Ruth posted on his social media that to Biden and Harris that they should go visit the injured because Trump won't and doesn't care about them, and there is a ton of anti-Trump vitriol coming out of this person's mouth. But that photo, and Joe, I think you had it.
Yeah, I'll pop that up in a second.
There's a picture of the suspect alleged to be from the arrest today. I'm sure you already covered it, but he was not arrested on scene. He left the scene and was arrested by law enforcement after the fact.
Yeah,
the picture
had him the whole time, from what I've read.
Yeah, and the picture of him pulling up his shirt during the felony stop to show that he didn't have any weapons. They side by side that with that picture right there on the right that you have on the screen now, and it appears to be the same individual. I cannot confirm that independently. Obviously, I don't have fingerprints. I don't have an ID. But if you look at the facial characteristics, it does match. This is also to provide, or as he said in that photo you have here in DC, there's the one I was looking for.
Yep.
That was from allegedly the arrest, and you can see the camera target there from either a drone or a helicopter. There's going to be a lot more coming out of this.
Oh yeah, the tweets of his that are coming out already is. I'm surprised they haven't locked down his Twitter account.
Well, and I posted on the article on Shrmedia, and I don't have that up, believe it or not. A couple of people have already photoshopped or screenshotted all of his posts and have saved it. So that they can't just go away. I did post them all. The account
that's exactly what BZ and myself were talking about just moments ago.
Yeah, no, there's an account called at sh Luhu, who's got 4 up, and then in her timeline there's more. And then there's the photo from the Tampa Bay Free Press. And the reason I screenshotted that specifically is for that same reason. If they start getting scrubbed, I want this picture to show exactly where it came from. Look, without having inside knowledge and evidence, as you know, most of us know that information is going to be highly guarded right now. But without having that, it's hard to say definitively one way or the other. However, as we saw with the last assassination attempt, which is even bothersome to say, if you do not, or if they do not start providing proper information ASAP from this investigation, people are going to start speculating. And that was damaging during the initial Trump shooting. It was damaging to the country because it was pure speculation. Well, when speculation goes unchecked among the people is when it gets dangerous for the sake of the country itself. The speculation, I don't think, makes it more or less dangerous for Trump. I think it's already dangerous for him. We know why it's dangerous for him. We know all of that. That's not even. We can go over it a million times. But the simple fact of the matter is the speculation is damaging even more to the system. The system that every single time we question, they turn around and tell us we shouldn't question it and we're horrible Americans for questioning it. But yet, every single time there's an incident and we turn to the system, the FBI, Secret Service, etc., and say, hey, what the hell's going on? We're given nothing. I heard you guys talking about Crooks's phone. And just to be clear, on on the encryption, what it is he was using two apps that were the server is encrypted and is overseas. So you can't get any information unless you go to that encrypted server or the company. And initially, they're having problems with the countries that they were in cooperating. Now, it gets you to the same end game, but I want to be clear about that. It wasn't a military style encryption on his phone itself. It was the two programs that he were using.
Yeah, but
One
how
of them
many
was
20-year-olds are encrypting their phone with foreign?
do you use Signal? Do you use WhatsApp?
Nope.
They're both encrypted. Twitter chat is encrypted.
No.
Right? They've gone to the encryption on that. So that's what they are using. I use all of those apps. I have WhatsApp, I have Signal. There's another one I have on there too. But the X is now encrypted. Encryption is more and more a common thing. The problem is they told us, hey, we have to go overseas to get this information, and then we'll get it and let you know. And that was a month and a half ago, and we haven't heard anything since.
Well,
That's the problem.
my wife made an observation, and I want to make sure, because the way she framed it, I could see someone freaking out and saying, "Oh, it's a threat." No, it's an observation. Twice now, there's been an attempt on a presidential candidate, but nobody's going after Harris.
Yeah,
that tells me something's. It's either some evil shenanigans going on in the background, or the rhetoric that the left is going is just overpowering these people's emotions, that they throw caution to the wind and feel they have to go out and do something.
Yeah,
And
no
that's
part of me disagrees with that statement at all.
that's what I was talking about earlier.
That not exactly, PC, but I think it was my wife that made that comment of, hey, you don't see anybody going after the Democrats, and I don't want anybody to. This is not a call for violence. This is a observation. I
There's
can't
a call
stress
for
that enough.
sanity and reason.
Exactly,
But
but
you
I know
have to understand the circumstances surrounding it. Things are to the point where if you're not going to be semi-trans, Shaun, you and I both completely understand our law enforcement pasts that, there are things called holdbacks that you're not going to reveal to the public about various investigations. I grok that concept completely, but you
Yes.
can't hold everything back. And then when you are not transparent, when you're appearing before various committees, it makes things look worse. Plus, the current trend is that leftists and Democrats are saying that to even talk about situations like this is doing nothing but engendering more violence, to the point where we can't talk about these things. The alphabet agencies are not going to be revelatory about this, certainly not the FBI or the DOJ. So and the American media maggots certainly won't. We can't theorize, we can't hypothesize. And if we let any amount of information escape, the people on the left are essentially saying, well, just by talking about it, just by addressing that particular point, you're endangering the lives of so many other people. So essentially, the bottom line is just shut the hell up and let us do whatever the hell we want. That's not going to happen.
That's a smoke screen. We know that.
Of course it is.
Nobody's expecting the Secret Service to discuss specifics on his protection during events, right? But after the fact, there has to be some level of discussion as to who, what, when, where, how, and why. We know that. In this instance, I'll give them credit. They got to a press conference right away. They gave some information out. That's a good start. I understand this is all fluid. I also understand is they don't know if he acted alone. I mean, you can never suspect that somebody does in these situations. They can't.
Completely understandable.
Yep, they can't burn that yet. If there is a co-conspirator, a potential co-conspirator, or maybe a driver, whatever, somebody who knew, they can't burn that yet. But what you do is, he's already arrested. He's already booked. I'm guessing that he's probably been officially charged with at least a single crime right now. I'm not sure what Florida's, if they have a 72-hour hold before you can prosecute, or if you need one at the time. I don't know off the top of my head. But you have enough to release a photo, charges, and a synopsis as to how you got there. Which, don't get me wrong, local law enforcement has the local law enforcement press conference was fairly decent. But again, it's local law enforcement. Um, he is a former presidential candidate. He is under the protection of the Secret Service. They need to be the ones at the forefront of this. And until they get there, people are going to ask why. I know they said is that because he is not the sitting president, he does not get the full protection bubble. Had he gotten the full protection bubble, the entire golf course would have been shut down and covered.
Just talked about that before you got here, and there's a major point that needs to be made, and you just opened that door. That is this. Since July 13th, what has the Secret Service learned? They're
Right.
still, as Bongino has indicated, and it's been true for years, they prioritize title over threat. Now, you can't tell me that the U.S. Secret Service hasn't learned anything since Butler, Pennsylvania, in terms of prioritizing a threat. It's abundantly clear a 5-year-old can see that there is a greater threat picture against Donald Trump than there is on Joe Biden. Joe Biden hasn't had an assassination attempt or two now, and yet we see them apparently non-responsive in terms of having a lesson learned. Do your damn jobs.
Well, my question, I got a quick question, and I'll make it short, Sean. How did he know he was going to be there today?
Or did he just follow some kind of a motorcade?
But his schedule for that type of stuff is private. How did this guy know? That's what's being reported. Nobody knew he was going golfing today, and which golf course he was going to go to today.
Yeah, but if you're a local, I mean, first, I understand what you're saying. I think if you're a local, it's not hard to figure out when he's somewhere and when he's not, because you see what the protection around him is, right? You see the black SUVs, you see that maybe the air unit, the extra law enforcement. If he's local, and I don't know where he hails from, but or if he knows somebody's local who said that before to him in the past of, yeah, it's easy to know when Trump's golfing there because there's 19 SUVs out front and 22 cops. I do want to point out that the local law enforcement, he did have a GoPro.
Yep.
And I don't know if he had that on or if it was just in the bag.
Yeah, they haven't reported. They just said they found a GoPro, the gun, and two backpacks.
People are adding, I think this is Facebook Messenger. It's the same person, Ryan Ruth. I'm going to share it to you now, Joe. Actually, I can just grab the camera. But one thing I do want to note before I pop this up is it is very, very obvious that local agencies have learned a few things since the last shooting incident, because they came out quick to say, hey, if he had the full package, he would have had the full protection. This never would have happened. They learned from what the Secret Service kind of did to Butler, trying to throw him under the bus.
Well, yeah.
And he essentially said, hey, this is the Secret Service, not on us. I'm going to share. Let's see.
You also have a lot that are saying that DeSantis should have Florida take over investigation. Because Florida, it's going to be FBI. I understand it.
Can't. It's a federal investigation.
Florida can do their own investigation at the same time.
So Gatagar, who's popped up in the conservative X timelines for everybody, is posting these. That appears to be Facebook Messenger. This appears to be the same guy with a little bit of a beard, Ryan Ruth, from Greensboro, North Carolina, lives in Hawaii. Don't know how old that is. Don't know if that's still up to date. I'm just kind of going through what I'm seeing. Appears to be the same person who's here. That
By the way, have you screen captured all of that?
I haven't yet. I'm just sharing it to you guys. I just found it.
Perfect.
Just so you know, though, this photo here, if you look at the ambulance equipment behind him, that is not American.
No, that's not. That's European.
Also,
that's European.
This is all recorded, so we'll have it on for the show. There'll always be proof of it.
May I add something at this point, especially now that you talk about that ambulance? The suspect in the Trump assassination attempt, Ryan Wesley Routh, was interviewed by Newsweek Romania in 2022. According to the report, he helped recruit foreign volunteers to fight for Ukraine.
Yeah. So I mean that adds up if this is in fact the person. I will not say this is in fact the person because here's that arrest photo that you had earlier, and again, this is via Gatagar. This is all speculation at this time. These are the tweets by Ruth regarding Kyiv and Ukraine, and we know he was a supporter. If this is the same person, I'm not going to bother with that. But so it goes to show you, um, how quick information comes up and how quick it's available. And if this is in fact the same guy, and indications are that it is, um, just based on the photo comparison alone, that arrest photo where that was taken from the helicopter or drone, where you see the the target X on the in the superimposed on it where he's lifting the shirt. If you go through all those other photos, the comparison appears to be that this person is the same person, and obviously we're going to wait for it to be finalized because we don't like to speculate here, but sharing of information, as we have learned, and this is something too, this is something we as a network and other people, you get caught between that rock and that hard place, right? Because we know that information disappears once the feds get their hand on it. So we do have a duty to share what we believe to be reasonable about information like this.
And
That's not us.
immure as much information up front as humanly possible before things have a tendency to
All right.
just
Real quick,
disappear.
that Facebook page of Ryan Ruth,
Yep.
that's his. I'll show you how I know.
Okay. Is it already blocked? Yep, there it is. So his Facebook page already locked down, content unavailable. That means it's already been scrubbed. It
Yep.
amazes me how quickly that notification can be made. I know it's a couple hours old at this point. I know they have a direct
They
contact,
were kind of slow this time on it. I mean,
but well,
Did
yeah,
he have a Twitter page? Did you happen to look, Sean, if he had a Twitter page?
yeah, no, and you can still, I got it right here. You can still get to it.
That's not scrubbed.
Nope.
I'm a little surprised.
I'm seeing this one. I'm going to pop it up real quick, Sean. Then I'll hand it over to you. That one's popping up.
Here's another thing. How does a 20-year-old not have just be festooned with social media? And you got a guy that's 59 or 60 years old. His ass is all over social media. See, that's why a lot of this stuff just doesn't pass smell.
Well, but that also, I mean, I could very easily say that this guy, if he was a deep stater and he was working for somebody or with somebody, he would have scrubbed all this already. To make that point the same. Now, the other thing too about, and I'll stop sharing because this is all, I just want people to be able to find it. The other thing too, when you go back to crooks not having social media, crooks may have been smart enough, being a young human being who grew up with technology, to have scrubbed it. They said he has no active social media presence. Doesn't mean that he didn't once have an active social media presence. He may have scrubbed it all before he did what he did because he grew up with technology and he understands how it can be used in these investigations. This Ruth guy may not have thought about that because he didn't grow up with it. It's not, he's a generation older than I am. It's not necessarily a common thing. Honestly, if you're going to argue that he was a deep stater working with or how somebody, then they would have already locked all this down. That's not saying this won't get locked down, but he legit, I mean, it's not at all far-fetched, and you know this, BZ, to think that he didn't just go batshit crazy and decide to grab a rifle and go take out Trump. Look, he became increasingly more angry at Trump, as social media has shown us, if it is the same person. Maybe, and it's so funny. I think Speculation again. My suspicion is that you're going to find out he did not like Trump because Trump wasn't willing to just write Ukraine the blank check. Now,
At this
I
point,
don't
that's certainly what it appears to be.
I don't know who Ruth works for. None of that has been given to me. I don't know who he's associated to. I don't know any of that yet. But if Ruth was in fact making money on this war, i.e., recruiting people to fight for Ukraine and getting money from that, or some sort of kickback, then it could very well be that that was the lead up to it. Again, we don't know. It's all special. Um,
Okay, I can't portray this here because this isn't my show, and I can't put this in. Now, the guy that you were referring to on Twitter, is it at DOM underscore LUCRE? Is that what you were referring to?
for which one? That was Dom
Or
Lucre was one of the people that reposted it, but the actual suspect on Twitter is at Ryan Ruth.
okay, right,
RyanRouth.
right. I'm mentioning this. You guys are on Twitter, either Joe or you, because I can't do it from here. Go to X, and you'll see under at DOM
Yeah, I know who
underscore
Dom Lucre is.
LUCRE. There's a video that I'm watching of this guy.
Is it the Newsweek video?
It looks like it says Newsweek on the lower right. Yes.
Yeah, that's the potential suspect being interviewed. And I haven't watched that yet, so I'm not going to pretend to know what's in that video yet.
I don't either. I'm just saying that if we have the tech capability to put this up there and play it, it might be interesting to watch and listen.
Well, it's a 9-minute video. That's the only problem. We can do it, Joe. If you want to take over, you can pull that up. Colin Rugg has it right now. I cannot stay that long. I need to
Can you
bounce
put
out.
the link in the private chat?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Let's see.
Because I do want to play Sean Hannity
Okay.
spoke out. Because he was actually asked to go golfing today with everybody. So let me look at it.
A little bit of a surprise. I'm kind of like you, Sean, though. I was doing shopping, driving around, all this kind of stuff. And in the process of starting to drive into the driveway and unload stuff, only then did I discover, I think it had been at least an hour since that event occurred. And I was kind of caught flat-footed and contacted Jersey Joe and whatnot. So again, like you say, this is going to be fluctuous. It's going to continue.
Yeah, this story is not going to go away, and especially being the second one. If we get the motivation, look, I think we know the motivation behind Crooks. I think Crooks was a leftist. I think we have enough to know there. I really do believe that. I know they want to try to muck it up that he was just trying to be famous by taking out anyone to be noticed. I don't know. I don't believe that's true.
Yeah.
This one is going to be the same thing. It's very specifically towards Trump. And, once again, you start going back to, and I'm sure you guys highlighted this, and I'll wrap it up with this. After the first shooting, they came out very tepidly and said, hey, political violence is not okay, guys. We can't condone this, right? That was it for the left for about 15, 16 minutes before they started going back to their old rhetoric. We are now back to he is a threat to democracy. It started almost immediately afterwards.
Of course.
As soon as, honestly, as soon as Joe dropped out, it started right back up again. And once again, the conversation needs to be had. And
Right
it needs to be had on a national.
Right after this happened, they went right back to it. They didn't break from it.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, this is it because it's happened twice now. It's a normalcy, and this is the problem we have in this country. Gentlemen, I appreciate it. I am going to be updating SHR Media with any bits and nuggets that we get through the day. So please stick around or jump over there, shrmedia.com. It's right in the main blog page as to the update of the story. And gentlemen, have a wonderful day and thank you.
No Thanks problem. For updating.
Or anything, and you need to come on, you got the link, just pop on. You can pop in and out as needed, but I understand if you can't come back on. I
appreciate it.
All right, brother. Take it easy.
Take care, boys.
Take care, Sean.
I'm going to play real quick. Sean Hannity's interview.
All right.
Because he came out pretty quick, and I think he has better insight to what's being said.
Anyway, so long story short is President Trump, they were on the 5th hole. They were about to go up to putt. And the way Steve Witkoff, now, just as a little bit of background, Arthel, I happened to go to breakfast with Steve Witkoff and another friend of mine this morning. And I was invited to play golf. They happen to be really good golfers. I don't have a lot of time to play golf, so I said thank you, but I'm not going to go out on the golf course and get killed out there. But long story short, so they were playing, they were on the 5th hole. And the way Steve described this, the way the president described it, they both had exactly the same story, which was that they heard pop, 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 pop. And Steve went into great special.
Hang on, I lost the feed. Oops. Dumbass me.
Within seconds, the Secret Service pounced on the president, covered him. You had snipers with tripods. They knew the direction where the shots had been fired, and they had eyes on the location.
See, that's where I want to stop, because he's reporting that this guy actually got a couple shots off. What it sounds like to me, he's saying that there were shots fired, then the snipers knew exactly where he was, and that's when they returned fire.
I'd like to think so. I remain unconvinced. I'm looking for this video for the audio of this. I had to get back. I actually got courtesy of Jersey Joe and Sackhead Shaun. I figured out how to get back onto Twitter on my phone. I could only do it from the computer, and so I managed an end around Twitter X. And I'm trying to go into another screen here to see if I can pull up from this guy. And then I think you have the ability to flash something that I want to send to you, don't you?
If you hit the share,
okay,
little thing like you share.
Right. Let me first see if I can get there.
I'm going to finish playing this video while you.
Sure. Beautiful.
Where the shots had been fired. And long story short, they were. I have confirmed with both the president and with Mr. Witkoff that the gun has been found. They identified it as an AK-47, and thanks to Secret Service drone video coverage, they were able to identify one individual involved in this shooting getting into a car after dropping the AK-47. And my understanding, according to both of them, is that that car has been identified, and I believe it's been surrounded. Whether or not that person has been apprehended or not, I don't know. This happened in a matter of seconds. A little more color, a little bit more details on this is that when they got on top of the president, immediately what is called a fast cart that I believe has steel reinforcement and protection was able to whisk the president away. And then the Secret Service immediately sprung into action. They had eyes on where the shooting had occurred. I saw the New York Post report that these were two people shooting at each other outside the course. I do know, and they did confirm that the shots were outside of the course, but certainly seemingly within range of the former president. So we don't have any details on any of that. They don't know that part. I only know the part of what they experienced while they were playing golf at Trump International in West Palm. Thankfully, the president is safe. Steve Witkoff is safe. The Secret Service apparently acted with incredible speed and professionalism, and but certainly alarming in every way imaginable in light of what happened in Butler, as you mentioned.
Yeah, of course, this is very alarming. And Shaun, have you spoken to the former president or?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna stop from here, but it's unbelievable.
Okay, let me see if I can maybe make an end around. I can Bluetooth my phone because on my phone I found this. So let me see if I can Bluetooth the phone. I can't show the video apparently because I haven't found it. I went right to that guy's site on Twitter, but I might be able to play the audio of this. So let me see. I've Bluetoothed it in. I think we've done this before. Can't I do that if I...
I believe so. I don't know your board.
Okay. Well, let me go back to this here. And I'm going to start this. I've got the line up for it. And this is from a guy named Dom Lucre, Lucre. And it says, breaking, here is footage of suspect from the attempted Trump assassination that has been identified as Ryan Routh. So let me play this and see if you can hear the audio.
Please tell me who you are and why are you here?
56 from the U.S. From North Carolina originally, so live in Hawaii now. So flew all the way from Hawaii here.
You got this?
So
okay.
The question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook. You know, any movie we've ever watched, this is definitely evil against good. I mean, we're battling a situation here where, you know, the Ukrainians and the rest of the world are caring and kind and generous and unselfish and take care of one another. And it's just a matter of, you know, we need to stand up for that. That is the most important thing in the world, is just to show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united so that we feed each other and make sure that, you know, we all move forward as one collective whole unit. So, you know, we feel the pain of one country's failure and their conflicts, and we enjoy the successes of other countries that are doing good, and we all work together. And for some reason, Russia does not grasp this concept that we're all one unit, and we have to get along and work together and be normal human beings. This is 2022. We have to work together. It seems asinine that we have a leader in a country that does not understand the concept of being unselfish and being generous and being.
Let me stop that just there for a second, because he goes on for 10 minutes. But, you know, I'm not the American media maggots. I get to opine, and the opination is this. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to realize that, like an actor says, what's my motivation? This guy in 2022, via the Newsweek interview, just told you what his motivation was. And sometimes things are fairly clear. I don't think you really have to dredge much deeper than that. Okay, there might be other motivations. Maybe there was something else. Who knows? It's so early in the investigation. I hope we get a thorough one. But this could go any number of ways. But it seems to me fairly readily that anybody essentially can become a citizen journalist. And I get to opine here. And wait a minute. There we go. And you get to opine here. Just because we're on SHR Media doesn't mean that we have to know everything. These are my opinions. That's why you say, you know, so many journalists, people who were excoriated, Alex, I can't think of that guy's name, from InfoWars.
Alex Jones.
You know, if you want to say something that might be a little, not even exaggerated, but semi-earth-shaking or gobsmacking, all you need to do to keep yourself within boundaries is say something similar to, these are my opinions, and if then. That's all you would have had to say. Similar to, if this is true, then this is what I believe happened. And my predicating is, if this is true, then this is what I believe happened. And we can all go until it's scrubbed to various points of social media and discover things that anybody else can discover until, as you and I both warn, if there's something even remotely controversial that the American media maggots or the alphabet agencies or the government doesn't want you to know, it will be scrubbed. That's a perfect example is no one cared about GovTrack and their logging of Kamala Harris in 2019 as the most leftist senator, even more to the left than Bernie Sanders. No one gave a crap about that. That was in there at GovTrack for at least 5 years. This year, about a month or two ago, it only becomes pertinent when VP Harris becomes presidential candidate Harris, and GovTrack goes back and say, well, yeah, we scrubbed that. Because, that's what we do. We scrub that. So the intonation, the hue and cry should be from now on, not just to me, not just to Joe, but everybody here that's watching this show or is a consumer of news. If something doesn't smell right to you, it's probably crap. And if something doesn't look right to you, but it looks like someone may have revealed some truth, take your phone, everybody's got one, and do a screenshot and a screen capture and keep it. Because as my professor at Sac State used to say, you may see this material again, or you may not see this material again, as in the tweet that was completely ripped out by the roots saying that Trump specifically quoted, "March peaceably to the White House." Gone. That's just another, as far as leftists are concerned, that's just another trope.
I want to jump in with a couple tweets I just came across.
Okay.
One I'm going to put on the screen, and it's irony funny, not funny, haha, that this jackass actually puts this up. Bill Kristol.
Oh, Bill Kristol. Oh my God, the things I could tell you about Bill
is
Kristol.
Trying to point the finger at Vance inciting violence. They're trying to deflect that this guy that just shot at Trump is a Democrat supporter, because what just come out? The would-be assassin donated at least 20 times to Democrats during the 2020 election. Surprise, surprise.
No.
And
Bill Kristol is like the Lincoln Project, only older and stupider.
Yeah. I got even stupider and older for you.
Bill Kristol was a manager of WorldNet Daily a long time ago. And he was actually a Republican. He claims to be a Republican now. All he is just a vindictive little person who wasn't allowed inside the DC, the proffered DC tent. And because he wasn't part of the in crowd, now he became a hater of Republicans, though he claims to be a Republican himself. If you see Bill Kristol,
he's a Democrat and Republican.
As
clothing.
You can simply discount any and everything that he says because he's going to stand up for the Democrats. It's that simple.
All right,
so when you know it's Bill Kristol, here come the lies.
Yep. And this woman, she should just fade off into nothing.
Oh, God, Bette Midler.
Yep. Not only is it dangerous, it's illegal for Trump to spout hate about Taylor Swift. He's putting out a hit on her. It's funny how these idiots are projecting exactly what Democrats are doing and trying to blame us conservatives for what the fuck they're doing.
Certainly.
It pisses me off because, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look and go, they're blaming us for what they're doing. And it scares me that there's people that actually fall for it.
Sure. You remember when Kathy Griffin held up the severed head of Donald John Trump and said, ah, ha, 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 this is humor. Isn't this funny?
But she's got PTSD because of Trump now.
I'm sure she does.
Oh, no, she's claimed she has PTSD. I can't work. I can't do this because of what he did to me. No, you did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. Take responsibility for your own action. Well, I can't get him in Hollywood nowadays. Yeah. You never really were in Hollywood. You were a D-list at best.
Yeah, tough.
It's
let me see if I can go to this. I went to Tampa Free Press. Former President Trump released a statement after shots fired in Florida. Nothing will slow me down.
Yep.
There were gunshots. This is his press release. There were gunshots in the vicinity, but before rumors start spiraling out of control, I wanted to hear this. I wanted you to hear this first. I am safe and well. Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender. I will always love you for supporting me. Unity, peace, make America great again, said Trump. Okay, so you have to, as a law enforcement officer, I didn't have the luxury of examining an incident and viewing it in a vacuum. In other words, I had to see where the various trail of breadcrumbs left. So it's not one thing that will lead you to the solution of a crime, although sometimes there are big things that do that with great obviosity, since I love creating that new word today. But you look for trends and patterns, and that's how you begin to discover, if you're a training officer, for example, and you got a trainee that screws up on one call, well, was that just a fluke? Was that just a one-off? Or are you looking for trends and patterns to be able to identify whether or not your trainee is a good recruit? And the same for a crime. You don't just look at one thing in isolation. You look for a series of pieces of evidence which tend to lead you in a particular direction. So when I mention all of these things about the Secret Service and about the July 13th attempted assassination, and now today's September 15th attempted assassination, what else can it be? I didn't know that the range wasn't on a golf course, so I took my scoped 8K-47 out for target practice. I didn't know that in Florida that wasn't a thing that I could do. So you have to take things in totality, and the great totality has yet to be revealed. Just as Butler, Pennsylvania, July 13th, we still don't know a fraction of the truth about that, and therefore, this is early. I get it. I grok that concept. More will be revealed. But trust me, simultaneously, there are elements within the United States and all around the planet that are doing their very level best to make sure that you don't hear the truth. And that's one of the major reasons that leftist societies, good and bad, Western and Eastern and Southern, are trying to kill what we know as the First Amendment and restrict free speech. That's a huge reason, because they don't want you to know what's actually occurring and what they're trying to do to you. So I repeat, and I'm going to have to take off because I'm going to have to feed the dogs here.
Yeah, well, I think we about covered everything that we're going to at this point.
But much more will be revealed.
Yep.
This is early. You don't have to be a rocket surgeon or a brain scientist to know where a lot of this stuff is going. And think of this. This man is apparently a threat to the point where Kamala Harris says she's going to win. She's going to kick ass. Okay, maybe yes, maybe no. But this man is a threat to the point where he doesn't just threaten Democrats or leftists. He's threatening, and many have said, he's threatening the planet. He is the existential threat. Folks, this guy ain't a politician. He's not a politician. He donated to both sides of the street because he was a businessman.
Yep.
And he wants to run a country like a business. And he wants to put the United States of America, which is his corporation, first. Because that's what corporations do. And that's what countries do. But it's bad if we do it.
Everybody else is allowed to, but not us.
So that's all about I have to opine at this point. If then. And so, folks, thanks for listening to SHR. Jersey Joe is going to take it from here. I have 4 little rescue doggies to feed that right now there's one outside my door. I don't know if you could hear it, but there was a little bit of scratching from some little pupper out there saying, Dad,
For the revolt.
It's overdue. If this were a jail setting, they would have a little tin cup and they'd be going grrrt, 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 grrrt against the vertical jail bars. That's how much they want their food. So, Jersey Joe, thank you. Everybody, thanks for listening and watching to shrmedia.com, shrmedia.com. May I make a presentation as to some things that are coming up this week for myself?
Go right ahead.
Thank you kindly. On Tuesday night, I'm going to have my local sheriff back on, who is a candidate for sheriff in my county. He's a constitutional sheriff. And the reason that this is applicable to everybody else, not just my county, and the reason that I suggest everybody should listen is this isn't the only guy whose job is coming up in November. My guess is there are any number of sheriffs that are coming up for election, either incumbent or not. And is your sheriff a constitutional sheriff? Or will your sheriff do what every leftist tells him or her to do? When the time comes to lock down, will they lock down? When the time comes to honor the Constitution, will they honor it? When the time comes to honor the Bill of Rights, will they honor it? Will they honor their oath? That's a constitutional sheriff. That's why I'm going to be talking to him on Tuesday. Then, this next Thursday, I'm going to be speaking to Jeff Dunitz. Jeff Dunitz, Yid with Lid, is going to be coming back. He had his own show on SHR. And if there's one thing that I say, if I can't love Jersey Joe and Sackhead Shaun and Jeff Dunitz and support everybody that was here on SHR, then I'm not doing my damn job. So I'm going to have Jeff Dunitz back on Thursday night, former SHR guest, and it'll be a ton of fun. So I highly recommend it. My show is Tuesday and Thursday nights, generally on select and exclusive Thursday nights, which I will promote beforehand. And I am at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern. I'm a great late night conservatarian talk show, just like Jersey Joe. Jersey Joe, thank you so much for having me here today.
No problem. All right, everybody. We're gonna get this wrapped up. I want to thank BZ. I want to thank Shackhead Shaun for coming on. If there's any more information, we will jump on. We'll pass it along. If you want to go to shrmedia.com, I know Shackhead Shaun will be updating as information comes about. And if you want to catch any of the shows for SHR Media, you can go to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Rumble, and just search for SHR Media, conservative media done right. I want to thank everybody that showed up. Don't forget to hit like, share, follow, all the happy, joy stuff that we need to do. But thank God Trump is okay. It's been another attempt on his life. Another failure, thank God. I when is it going to end? And with that, I'm going to bid everybody a good night.